So, Metroid Prime Remastered in all of its beautiful glory has been out and in people's hands for a couple of days now. Many people have been playing it, many folks have completed it. I've put in tons of hours myself. I'm actually kind of taking my time and really soaking in the experience because I know this game front to back. I've beaten it over 10 times in my life. I am not trying to hurry through it. I'm enjoying and loving this incredible experience. And so it's really made a huge impact on the gaming community, the Nintendo community, the Metroid community, right? Everyone is in love with what's happening with this game, as they should be. It's the most incredible gaming experience I've probably ever had since I played the original game back in 2002. However, as much as Metroid Prime Remastered currently has everyone's attention, and rightfully so, there is another topic around Metroid and the release of this game that has everyone talking and everyone wondering and asking questions. And I think we all know what that is. And it's what's happening with Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3. We all know that discussions about a Metroid Prime trilogy remaster goes back many, many years, including even 2017, when Metroid Prime 4 itself was revealed. I actually made my first video discussing the topic only as a theory just a few months after Metroid Prime 4 was revealed, and then later that year, more conversations about people who claim to know things behind the scenes started, where those folks were saying that they've heard that that is a plan by Nintendo and a Metroid Prime trilogy was supposed to be coming. And for basically almost 6 years, nothing ever happened despite those conversations. Eventually, last year, thanks to Emily Rogers, the conversation turned from a Metroid Prime trilogy to a Metroid Prime 1 remake kind of game, which we now know, of course, was true. Now, near the end of the year, another thing happened that I think most of us are aware of, which was Jeff Grubb, who has had a great track record knowing behind-the-scenes things and leaking things that ended up being true. He was the one who claimed that he also heard Metroid Prime 1 was getting more of a full remake. Metroid Primes 2 and 3 were going to get more of just a straight port that would release later. He claimed that would happen before the end of 2022, and as we know, that did not happen. The poor dude had to shave his head because he was wrong. However, now we know that Metroid Prime Remastered, which I've said before, to me almost comes off like a bit of a remake because it's so vastly improved, that was real. Some reports say that Nintendo has been sitting on the game for over a year, and based on the things I had heard, I do believe that. Now that it's released, we're all saying, okay, are these other conversations about Metroid Prime 2 and 3 even real? So here's the thing. What I want to discuss with you guys, as per usual, because I never talk about things, whether I've heard them behind the scenes or not, I never talk about them like they're a fact. I'm just a guy who's now predicting, okay? Because we don't truly know what's going on with 2 and 3. We've all heard a lot of the same rumors and leaks out there, but nothing is a confirmed fact right now. So I want to basically put out this theory about what I think Nintendo's plan with Metroid Primes 2 and 3 could be, okay? So again, I'm not leaking or rumoring. Don't go out there saying, Rob from Rule of Two Review said this rumor, leak thing, whatever. I don't want any of that stuff. I'm just a fan predicting, okay? So please, no one lose their minds over this conversation, because people tend to do that. I have to give that disclaimer sometimes. Anyone who does YouTube, you know that sometimes that's necessary. So when I think about the theory that I have, and I believe in this theory, with Nintendo's plans around the other two Metroid Prime games, I think there is actually a great chance, and I know I'm not trying to set anyone's emotions up for disappointment, including my own, but I think that there could be a chance, when we look at the timing of everything, that maybe Nintendo is planning to stagger releases of Metroid Primes 1, 2, and 3 throughout the entire year of 2023, so that in 2024, we could actually play Metroid Prime 4. Now, I know this sounds a little bit crazy and like wishful thinking. Trust me, you do not have to remind me of that. I am well aware that this could be crazy. And maybe Metroid Prime Remastered is the only game they planned on making and releasing until Metroid Prime 4 eventually comes out. However, now that Metroid Prime Remastered was revealed, then shadow dropped and released, and then I've now had my time to play through it, I'm like, 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through. I'm very close to the end. I only have a few more final bosses to go. I'm already in the Phazon Mines. I already have all 4 of the main beams and their respective upgrades, so I am really closing in on the end here. And now that this game is released, I just keep thinking about Nintendo's plans with Metroid Prime 4 and the fact that it actually does feel weird for Metroid Primes 2 and 3 to be missing from the Nintendo Switch and from the conversation leading up to Metroid Prime 4. And for new players who never played any of these games who might be interested in Prime 4, it's missing from their gaming library as well and from their Metroid Prime experience. And I gotta be honest with you, before Metroid Prime Remastered was revealed and released, I don't think that I would have thought this way. I initially felt that, you know what, and I even made a video about this a week or two ago, and I can only admit that now with the release of Prime Remastered, my opinion is kind of changing a little bit. You know, with new information, opinions can evolve. I'm somebody who believes that. And the experience of the Prime Remaster situation really is informing some of these evolving opinions I'm having here, okay? And so previously, I didn't feel like it was so important for a lot of fans to experience all 3 Metroid Prime games before playing Metroid Prime 4. And I've stated why, and again, in the video I made last week, I stated the same thing, and it's that I don't feel that the story and the narrative beats of the Metroid Prime games play out in such a way that you really need to know the games in order. That you need to play them all and understand, you know, the lore that happens in 1, 2, and 3, leading into whatever's going to happen with 4. The Metroid Prime games are so cleverly designed so that technically you can play any of the games in any order, and you're not really missing much. Because the games don't force feed you the story, they don't handhold you, the player, through like these narrative beats. Like I said, it just kind of plays out in an organic way. You find information and story by choosing to scan things, or you can skip them, and all of these different things. And while I still feel that's true, I think that what the Metroid Prime Remastered has taught me now that it's been out is just how into Metroid Prime people are, including new players. The decision to shadow drop this game and the amazing way they rebuilt this game and the way it looks and everything about it has everyone buzzing so strongly about the idea of the Metroid Prime franchise as a whole that I'm realizing a lot of new people are jumping into Metroid Prime because of this game. And that makes me realize that there probably is a massive value to releasing 2 and 3 leading into 4. And that brings me back to the final part of why I think this makes sense, is simply the timing. To me, it's like if Metroid Prime Remastered, the first game released here in February, the beginning of 2023, I think that there is a great opportunity for Nintendo, if this is even their plan. Again, this might not be their plan. There's a chance they didn't do anything with 2 and 3 and that they're not options on the table. But let's, for the sake of conversation, go with it as a theory. Metroid Prime Remastered comes out February, in the beginning of the year. Then in the middle of the year, Metroid Prime 2 gets re-released, and then near the end of the year, maybe like the fall, Metroid Prime 3 gets re-released, and then after that, maybe they finally reveal the trailer and the date for Metroid Prime 4, and that could release like in the first half of next year or something. So you literally every 2, 3, 4 months, you get Metroid Prime 1, then Metroid Prime 2, then Metroid Prime 3, followed by the reveal of Prime 4, followed by the release of Prime 4, 5 or 6 months later, again, in the first half of 2024. And because I also think that maybe next-gen hardware could release around that time, and the reveal of next-gen hardware at the end of this year has also been my theory for like 3 years now, it's like, man, if Nintendo was awesome enough to re-release Primes 2 and 3 as well, I think that this all tracks timeline-wise. Again, only a random theory and prediction. I wouldn't even call it a prediction. It's really more of a theory. Because I don't know that I really think Nintendo is going to do this, even though Jeff Grubb kind of said that this was their plan, and it turns out that he was right about the Metroid Prime 1 remake. I still am not really making this a prediction. This is just more of a discussion, and I wanted to put the idea out there because I do think it's possible that this could be a plan by Nintendo. And so then the real question becomes, what would Nintendo do with Metroid Primes 2 and 3 if there was any truth to this in the first place? Would they just make them straight ports, digital only possibly? Would they package them together as one dual game package for like 40, 50, 60 bucks, something like that? Are they making them just HD, the way the Dolphin emulators have done to the first 3 games already? Or would they also have completely remade and remastered these games the same way they did with Metroid Prime 1? And you guys, if they did that, I would absolutely lose my mind. Playing through Metroid Prime Remastered is making me realize how desperately I want Metroid Primes 2 and 3 to release with the same treatment. You release all 3 games at a $40 price, remade / remastered, the same way they did with the first game here. You sell them all for $40, digital and physical. You do the shadow drop thing each time. Oh my god, and Nintendo would make so much money. I think one of the other huge lessons to take away from Metroid Prime Remastered is how successful it is. The shadow drop of the digital worked out so well for them. Everyone under the sun, whether they're already familiar with the game or they're playing it for the first time, went and downloaded and bought that game for $40, and the physical version was sold out like after the first day online on Amazon. It was the #1 best-selling video game on Amazon, sold out after a day. Luckily, I got my own copy pre-ordered in time. And so they're making money hand over fist with this game, both the digital and physical. And Metroid fans, we are willing to double dip, especially to support the franchise, and also to have these games in our physical collection. And it's like, man, if they did the remaster treatment and they do the same things for maybe the Metroid Prime 2 is like late spring or midsummer, Metroid Prime 3 is in the fall, it could just be so great. Imagine, you guys, if they did something this amazing. Now, the only thing I want to remind you guys here near the end of this video is there is a chance that even if they are going to re-release these games, they might play the simple, safe route, which would be a bit disappointing, I think. And maybe they're just releasing, like I already said, just straight ports. What if it's like $20, it's digital only, and maybe it's made HD, so it's just get an HD remaster, right? Again, like the Dolphin emulators that already exist. It's just going to look like that. Maybe the same thing they did to a game like Twilight Princess, for example, or even Skyward Sword. Maybe they just do that. And so for $20, you can download just a straight port of Metroid Prime 2, and then $20, you can download just a straight port of Metroid Prime 3. That's better than nothing, and I think we would all be happy with that, but wouldn't we rather have either like a dual release for $60 where they're remastered, or individual releases, just like they did with the first game? And like I said, just do the same, shadow drop it, and you can download it, or you can buy the physical, and you've remastered it, remade it the exact same way they did with Metroid Prime 1. Oh my god, my heart just goes insane thinking about how cool that would be. And so, again, this is nothing more than a theory, but I wanted to talk about how and why I think this could be possible. Would Nintendo be awesome enough to do this? I don't know. I'm surprised they were awesome enough to do it with the first game, to be fair. So maybe that the shock of that tells us that they are open to doing the same with 2 and 3. And again, if the timing tracks the way I laid it out, it's just too perfect. Metroid Prime 1 in February, Metroid Prime 2 in April, maybe like June or July, Metroid Prime 3 in September or October, and then you reveal Metroid Prime 4 like in November? Dude, it's just perfect, right? So the jury's out, time will tell. No one knows. Just when we think Nintendo's going to do something great, they usually drop the ball. When we think Nintendo is already dropping the ball and they're messing up, they surprise us and they reveal Metroid Prime Remastered, right? So impossible to predict. This is just the situation we find ourselves in. Before Metroid Prime Remastered, I was like, you know, they don't really need to release the first 3 games. People can play Metroid Prime 4 no problem. Now that Prime Remastered is out and it's amazing, kind of evolving my thoughts, and now I do think that there's a huge value to releasing 2 and 3 on the Switch, especially if they remaster and remake them the same way. So, like I said, time will tell, but this is my theory on how Metroid Primes 2 and 3 might still come to the Nintendo Switch.